pause, we thank you for the blessings you've shared upon us and our county. We're thankful for the opportunity, the privilege to serve. And we pray for wisdom today as we make decisions for the county and our constituents. Thankful for the blessings that you give us and the protection you give us and our first responders. We pray their safety would be paramount and you would watch over them and keep them safe. So dismiss us with your blessing as we part this evening and add to this prayer. Ask it all in the name of Christ. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the November 17th Commissioners meeting. You have the meeting notes and agenda in front of you. Any changes or alterations?
Motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second motion to accept the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we had a payroll of $292,266.91, claims of $687,229.25. Can I get a motion to approve the financials?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Sheriff Holiday.
I will be very brief. I have 56 inmates in jail, 27 are pretrial circuit, 20 are pretrial superior, 4 DOC, 1 F6. I have no building updates other than still working with insurance to get that light pole replaced. So they're working with the insurance agency to get the claim. I already got an estimate to get that light pole repaired. So other than that, I don't know.
Do we have any maintenance fund that runs out this year that has to be encumbered? Nothing? Just so we figure out what we do with that outside pipeline we gotta put in.
Yeah, we have the jail improvement fund that continues, that's just continues to build. I have a maintenance fund in my budget, but yeah, I gladly use that up every year. Actually, I asked for more money already before the end of the year, so.
We'll just look at that going into 27, get a plan, so we.
Yep, yeah,
do
you
it
and I
when we
talked
can,
about,
so-
I think Solus kind of come up with an initial
That's right.
plan, so maybe we could build off of that going into 26 and come up with a plan, you know, more long-term plan for the rest of that sewer stuff, so. Okay, thank you.
And
Oh, go ahead.
next meeting, the sheriff and I will have a number of matters to present for employment and then also some business matters for the sheriff. So we'll have some things on next meeting's agenda, just
Yep.
to let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
you.
Thanks, Scott.
Mr. Witt.
Last week on the 12th, we had the pre-final inspection for the County Home Road project. After inspection of the road, there's a few minor things that are gonna get cleaned up. Some millings along the edges, a modification to a drain inlet due to height. And then a discussion was had about the striping on the road, if you haven't been out there. Some of the striping was not put in the grooving as it was supposed to, so it's laying out. And we've opted to leave that contract open till the spring after we've spent the winter on it with the plow trucks. And whatever we tear up, we will go back to the contractor to have it fixed. And we are currently holding that pay item open. I don't want to say we're withholding payment, but we are at this point, just to verify that their workmanship holds up to our underbodies on the trucks. So that'll be open. You will see that stay open till springtime. From operations, if you have not seen, we were up on Meridian Road. A lot of the rough grading has been done for the ditch lines to show where that is at. We'll continue on getting the grading done as we set pipes. There's a couple pipes north of 900 that will need to go in as we set the grade. As part of the process, we're also working with some of the adjacent property owners. Some of the pine trees between 800 and 900 will be removed. Whether we impact them or not, we won't know till we get in there and do the grading, so we'll most likely hit the roots. So we've kind of reached out to property owners, said, hey, more than likely they're gonna get hit, so, and they are in the right of way completely, so they were fine with us removing them. And we've had conversations with some of the drive entrances. There's a concrete drive just north of 800, met with the property owner. We're gonna saw cut it at a relief joint, and then once we're completely done, he's gonna put his drive back. Come to find out, his contractor didn't contact us, so he was quite happy with us coming in to fix it, and he's gonna hang off on completing his drive until we're done. I asked him to give us till next summer after we put the last couple coats of chip seal on. That way he gets a good elevation. So we are having conversations, coordination with the property owners along there, and so far it's been cordial. This afternoon, we received a updated version of the Cintas uniform agreement from their legal. Ted and I are gonna schedule a call. They made a couple of changes from what we submitted, so we will have a conversation with them tomorrow afternoon to try to hammer that out and have it back in front of the board in 2 weeks. And Friday, we had some folks in from Gasoline Equipment and the lift guys to talk about vehicle lifts to get all of our vehicles on from the county into our shop. Looking about a 14,000 pound lift. We're gonna look through the Sourcewell process, kind of help facilitate getting that in the shop. And then we'll be purchasing 2 additional movable lifts, a pair to match the 2 pair we have. So if we do have a truck that goes down and it does have a load in it, we can lift it up to work on any hydraulics underneath. Well, added safety. And the last thing I have is we do have 1 open position. We have an open mechanics position. So we're gonna begin that search. I got a couple of names, so, and 1 application already. So we're gonna start heading that direction, find someone who can help us out and in our endeavors with bringing in the whole county fleet.
Bill, does that have to be SAE certified so we don't void any warranties or anything on vehicles?
It was not in the job description, but it is something that we can search.
Yeah, let's just find out if they need some kind of certification so we don't void anything.
I believe on the list that we received for the county vehicles, there's a few fire trucks, a few of the sheriff's vehicles, transport vans, that kind of thing, so I will verify.
Anything else? Anything you need from us?
I will be working with the sheriff to help get the county uniform policy put in place that we kind of discussed a few weeks back. I'm going to call Scott tomorrow and get a meeting set up, hopefully in the next week or 2. I don't think we cross over very much, but we will try to get the basic language and templates set in place so it's universal. And we do not have any right-of-ways at this time.
None? That's a first.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Not having any.
All right, thanks, sir.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Mr. Whitaker.
Good evening. To start off with, we've got 4 utility permits that I'm recommending for approval. The first being AEP. They're doing some pole replacements and upgrades along 100 West and 800 South. The second is Citizens. They are doing buried fiber along 1000 West and 1100 South in Jackson Township. And then the last 2 are both Frontier, both buried fiber, one in Jefferson Township and one in Union Township.
Make a motion to accept those utility permits.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
All right, next I've got the annual bid package prepared. We sent the advertisement to the newspaper today, so that will be posted later this week and then run a second time the week following. And right now we're planning to have, I sent you guys an email, we're planning to have the bid opening at the county highway garage. And then once we have the public bid opening there, we will summarize and deliver recommendations and get approvals from you guys at the following meeting.
Very good.
Couple project updates. Bridge 71, which is County Road 200 West over Rock Creek, that went out for the NDOT bid letting last week. The apparent low bidder was Duncan Robertson, which they've got the last several of our bridge bids. So I went ahead and sent our concurrence email to NDOT late last week and also submitted our FEMA's request for the construction inspection phase. So here in the next couple weeks, we should be good to go on a pre-construction conference, and I'm sure Duncan Robertson probably will want to get started on that yet this winter. Then, as you can see, Bridge 54, which is also Duncan Robertson, they continue to clear right-of-way. Right now, the plan is for them to close that road once State Road 3 reopens. Just kind of waiting on the NDOT project to finish up.
Good deal.
That's all I've got.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Betsy.
Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
So, primary purpose today is to have the third quarter claim invoice signed. You should have received all the supporting reports that are submitted to NDOT along with the claim, and I just need to ask if anybody has any questions on those.
I didn't. You guys have any questions on that claim?
Okay.
Needs to be signed in blue.
Yes.
I got a blue pen.
You got blues? I brought blue too, just in case.
I just need approval that,
Motion to allow the president to sign the document.
Second that motion?
all in favor?
Aye.
3-0. I was gonna ask you, do you have a agenda of the, you guys,
I'm going to sign that one and use this one I have.
you guys hold events at the WOW building?
We, oh, that goes to, we do. We have, let me
Yeah.
Everybody can hear me? We primarily have educational type events, like we're currently running the Matter of Balance class. We've had Alzheimer's or dementia classes. We do the foot clinic. So Susie Ellerdine is in charge of all of those type of activities that we, I don't really want to call them activities, but events or educational opportunities for the senior in the community. So I can forward you.
Just where they publish, I was asked today, and I was looking for them, where they're published at the event calendar.
She typically puts it on Facebook, and then periodically on our website, we'll put up upcoming events. So they can either check we have 2 Facebook pages, one for Wells on Wheels and one for Wells County Council on Aging. So most of those are going to be on the Wells County Council on Aging Facebook page. And then again, I do periodically update the website if we have something new and upcoming. It'll be on one of our sliders as you first log into the website. So,
Great.
okay?
All right, thank you.
Any other
very much.
questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Springer. Good evening.
Good evening, guys. So pretty much I don't have any major updates. I kind of sent you guys what the response back I've had from the surrounding fire departments up there in Jefferson Township. Still working, trying to get with Ossian and get this hammered out. So what happened with the first contract that was signed was they didn't have the current one from our lawyer. So that's why they had to have a second meeting and sign that second agreement, is they finally got the correct agreement from Jefferson Township's lawyer. So that's where that mess up was. So we got that corrected. So I haven't heard anything from 2 of my board members, so I'm still waiting on that, trying to figure it out. But my biggest, I think, request moving forward is kind of working with you guys to see what we could do something different up in Jefferson Township for fire protection, because the way it's currently working for the last several years is not working. So we kind of need to look at a different direction.
I don't think we're in a position to make any moves. I mean, the only way the commissioners get involved is if we move to a district.
Right.
If we move to a district, then there is no real input from the township.
Correct.
So it's, I mean,
Yeah.
is that what they're looking for? Is that
That's
they
what
exit firefighting altogether, or?
That's my exit strategy right now, is look in that direction, because it's just, it takes up a lot of time to just keep fighting back and forth, and it does not do anybody up in Jefferson Township any good when we do this, and that's, I think that's a good strategy we need to probably start looking at.
Watching Allen County go through it, it is not a quick thing.
No.
It's, you know, they hired Purdue Fort Wayne to come in with some process engineers and look through the whole county, figure out what the best routes are, what the best locations are, how many people to cover. So we're talking 2 years probably at the minimum, so there's gotta be a stopgap measure, I would think. My suggestion for Jefferson Township, you gotta figure out something.
Correct, yep, and that's what I'm still working on for the end of the year, to try to get something for, at least for next year, and at least to 27, I know we need that too, but the way it's looking, we need to start maybe moving forward with you guys on figuring out what we could do.
It's pretty clear or Ossian's the only fire department that's willing to help out. So,
Correct, and it has to go through the town of Ossian.
yeah.
Right.
What else we do there besides,
The statute on districts gives you a calendar on when you can start considering putting that together. Gives you an opportunity to prepare so you can have the taxing authorities, you can have the auditor, the assessor, and the treasurer all on board to know where those funds are going to go. But if that's going to be something in the consideration of the Board of Commissioners for 2027, we need to start looking at that quickly so we can get things lined up. And then it could take effect commencing in 2028 or 2029. So it's 2027 or 2028. It's at least a 2-year period to plan, appoint the board, get a fiscal body put together for that district, for them to put a budget together, utilizing what the townships are already doing. But there's a process in place within the statute.
we do that section by section, township by township, or do we do that countywide?
That would be the reason you commence a study with PFW to get that done. Allen County started the process and did it because they thought they had a good idea, and now I think they're looking at it and saying that maybe our best plan may not have been the correct one, and so that's why they've done the new evaluation with PFW. I don't think they're changing anything in Allen County, but at least they're looking at that as an evaluation to confirm what did they do and what are their next steps.
We got our homework to do before we dig into it.
And as the township trustee, you can always set a meeting. And if your board of trustee don't attend, you can still take action, is my understanding of township. So you can enter into whatever contracts you would need to then. Obviously, you'd want the whole board of review to approve it, but there are steps you can take.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
You got any other questions?
No.
Okay.
Julie?
Good evening, Commissioners. I won't introduce everybody, but I have the majority of my team behind me, so you can tell that Bluffton Regional is a strong facility. I would also like to thank Lori Ayler. She's the CEO of Lutheran, and she also came down to join us. I think you all know me. I'm Julie Thompson. I'm the administrator at Bluffton Regional. For over 41 years, I have worked there. I want you to step back to the year 2000. At that time, we had 2 facilities, Wells Community and Kaler-Nickel Medical Center. In December of 2000, Wells Community and Kaler-Nickel merged to form Bluffton Regional Medical Center. It significantly strengthened the healthcare in our community by consolidating resources. My point in talking about this is today we have a strong rural health system that's meeting the needs of our community. Similar to 2000, 2 healthcare facilities could ultimately dilute the quality and availability of care. The healthcare landscape has changed dramatically over the years in regards to the availability of staff, providers, and insurance requirements and regulations. This alone has changed the dynamic of healthcare in the last 25 years. Therefore, you will see rural hospitals not having the whole menu of healthcare opportunities that the but the basics instead. For higher levels of care, patients will be referred to facilities that offer those services. Take a little sidebar here and let you know, I think that in the community, there's been a lot of questions about Meridian Health Services. Why did I choose to do what I did with the primary care providers? Unbeknownst to a lot of people, for about 5 years, we'd leased half of those providers already to Meridian Healthcare. Meridian Healthcare is a federally qualified healthcare center, and they're funded differently through the government. We have a very collaborative agreement with them. We communicate well, we meet regularly, still talk to the physicians. Physicians are supportive of the facility. Just to let you know, the providers we do still have in our facility. Dr. LaBreja is a podiatrist. Carrie Price is a wound nurse. Dr. Thorpe is general surgery. Dr. Abdullah is GI. Dr. Sanala is cardiology. Dr. Ardeshna is pulmonology. And Dr. Purdy is ophthalmology. We lease space to different providers that want to come in. We have Summit Pain Management, who has been here. They're there every Thursday. Fort Wayne Orthopedics has been a long-standing group that we have worked with, and they lease space 3 days a week for us. University Dermatology is new to us. They've been here less than a year. They're from the Muncie area. And then we've had a long-standing relationship with Fort Wayne Medical Oncology, who is now American Oncology Network, for well over 30 years. Bluffton Regional is a for-profit facility. That means the facility pays federal, state, and local taxes. We paid over $656,000 in taxes in '24. These taxes filter down to our schools, city, and county for support and growth for our community. This is more important now than before, as the state legislation made so many changes in the county and city government taxes. I'm asking you all to consider this. With healthcare being a dynamic and challenging industry at this time, do we really want to bring a full second system in this community? Are you willing to potentially compromise Bluffton Regional and the longstanding benefits, tax payments, and what we've provided to the community? Have we fully considered the cost of operating two systems, including the potential to drive up labor costs and create potential staffing challenges at both facilities? Is that a situation that's likely to improve or to compromise our healthcare outcomes? Bluffton Regional is committed, a long-term provider of healthcare in the community, and we continue to stand with you and hope we have your support. I think you can see how supportive, and the group that I have behind of me, we're a tremendous team. I had the opportunity to talk to Scott the other night, or to Jeff the other night. Our leapfrog score is a 4, or is an A, excuse me. We have a 4.7 Google star rating overall year to date, and we provide a lot of other services that I haven't outlined yet tonight. So I thank you for listening to me. Do you have any questions?
How long have you been with Bluffton Regional?
I've worked at the facility for 41 years, so Bluffton, I've been there when it was K1 Nickel Medical Center, and then transitioned into Bluffton Regional. I've been in this role for over 6 years.
Thanks for coming and bringing your team with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see Mike. Is Mike back there somewhere? Lotsenizer? That's interesting. Well, I know we've got people from Parkview, so whoever would like to come up and present. You can bring some more chairs up if you want.
Be great, thanks. Okay. All right. Good evening. My name is Jack Benz. I'm an attorney representing the applicant.
She's gonna bring a piece of paper around to you, just sign your name, when you're done, name and who you represent, and
Yeah.
just so we have for the record. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Go ahead.
My name is Jack Benz. I'm an attorney representing the applicant, Parkview Health System, Inc., which has filed the rezoning petition that's before you today.
My office is located 110 West Berry Street, Suite 1100 in Fort Wayne. Several people from Parkview with me tonight. Next to me is Dr. Greg Johnson, Regional Market President for Parkview. Also Tom Trent, Asset Strategy Officer. Kevin Scholes, Vice President, Asset Strategy. And also Preston Wright from Parkview, I think local, is here as well. They'll all be happy to assist me in answering any questions that you may have. We very much appreciated the Plan Commission's unanimous recommendation for approval. And preceding that, the Plan Director, Lotzenheiser's recommendation for approval. I'm not planning to rehash the entire Plan Commission presentation for you tonight, and I hope you appreciate that. I did want to say a couple things for myself in response to some of the comments that were made by the Lutheran representative. But primarily, I know you have questions, and so we brought a lot of people here to be able to answer those questions for you. So with respect to the comments made right before us, I think competition is a good thing. I think it makes everyone better. The intention of Parkview is to come here to provide quality care, not to lessen your care. And we're already here in providing that care in a capacity. In Fort Wayne, we have Parkview and we have Lutheran. I'm not sure why that shouldn't be the case here. And people of Ellis County could go where they want to. With respect to the property taxes, the current use envisioned for the site initially is as a medical office building. And medical office buildings are subject to real estate property tax in Indiana. I would note also to that comment, Parkview is one of the highest property tax payers in Allen County. I think they're second. I know they're in the top 5. So that's kind of a common misconception that Parkview doesn't pay any real property taxes. So we're here to provide quality care. We're not here to diminish or speak to whatever anyone else is doing. So in any case, there may be other people in our group that have something to speak to about the comments that Lutheran made. I guess the last thing I want to say about that is, I think those comments are, appropriate for you to consider, but they're really not relevant to why we're here tonight, which is to determine whether or not this property is appropriate to rezone. And the Plan Commission believes that it is. And I guess I'd kind of like to refocus it onto that. But we are happy to answer your questions, and we know that you have them. And I'll seek assistance from our Parkview team here to help you determine who's best to answer those questions as you may have them. And if you want anything more from me about the project before we get to that, I'm happy to provide that as well.
I think we need to hear from Mr. Lotzenheiser first about the petition. That's what, just to get right back to where you said what we're here for.
Okay, you bet.
Good evening. So here today to present the Plan Commission's unanimous do pass recommendation for the rezoning of property on North State Road 1 on the northwest side of the city of Bluffton. So I'm open to answer any questions that you have in regards to the petition.
My only question is, what are we rezoning to? I mean, usually we see a site plan or
Yeah, so
an idea of what we're going to do, but
sure.
It's went from, and I'm just speaking for myself, I met with Kevin and Preston and talked about this and had an idea of what it was going to be. That's changed quite a bit. So what are we approving? We're just approving land use, but we don't have a plan, a site plan or anything?
Sure. So in a rezoning case, the Plan Commission looks at all potential uses when switching from one zoning classification to another, not necessarily a narrow focus on a specific project. So in the case, the Plan Commission made its recommendation that in this case, the property that was zoned agricultural intensive made more sense to be zoned Business 3 based on the Vision 2035 plan and the growth trends on the north side of the city of Bluffton. So no matter what the potential B3 general business use that the property be used for, that it fit because of those pieces in that puzzle. So not to try to narrowly tailor to a specific development, but looking at it, does B3 zoning make sense at that location, no matter who is the potential purchaser or who might be the many different uses of that property moving forward. But the size of property can be easily developed into multiple things. General business is similar to what the entirety of the frontage on State Road 1, for the most part, is zoned within the city limits of Bluffton. There was a small gap in this location between that where there's some residential zoned only property, but even the uses like the I-Town Church and the Lancaster Elementary School, Lancaster Park, those uses actually fit both into residential and business uses. So that was used in that mindset that the church being across the street is more of a business type use by the way it's used. It's a public space. Operations happen, so it fit into that category, which was the mindset that was used by the Planning Commission when they made their unanimous do pass recommendation.
Yeah, the east side is Bluffton City, the west side is county.
Correct, yes.
So if we go B3, it might not ever end up being a hospital, it might be something else.
Yeah, we're looking at all the potential uses in general business.
Can the commissioners petition it to change back to what it was?
Yeah, so there are two processes for rezoning a property. So the first and more common process is by landowner application. The second process is through Planning Commission starting the petition. So either one of those are opportunities moving forward if all or part of the property needed rezoned to another zoning classification. That would be a tool that could be used, and the commissioners could ask the Planning Commission to consider rezoning the property or a portion of the property. We did that, for an example, we did a whole town master plan zoning for the town of Uniondale. And so we looked at the entirety of the zoning map within their corporate limits and set the areas that should be B3, central business district, residential, and looked at that and came up with a map redo for that entire town. And so that can be done in a grander focus or on a single property base. So those are the two primary ways that can be done.
You know, when I was first approached, it was, hey, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was, we'd like to put a hospital or some kind of medical facility here, 3 to 5 years once we run out of leases. Now it's 8 to, we don't know when, right? There's no timeline to it. And it could be, and I think this is where my question is are you gonna put something there? Is it gonna be a hospital? Parkview's talking about buying it. Is it gonna be a medical facility? Or do we transfer it over? It's a holding pattern to maybe deter others, and then it ends up being a strip mall or something else. I think that's what Commissioner Gerber's asking is, can we petition it later on to back to Ag 1 to kind of control, because I don't want to tell people what they can and can't put on their property, but I don't want a big old strip mall out on that end of the town either. I mean, it's got to be, we want to control what that growth is a little bit, I would think, with what's coming in. Don't want a hog farm right there. I don't want chicken farm there. I mean, and I know it's in our 2035 plan, so we're just trying to get our heads around how this went from, at least I am, from how it went from pretty clear cut that 3 to 5 years we'd see a building there to getting calls that, one, we're holding this up, and two, now it's not 3 to 5 years. So it always, for me, and I'm only speaking for me, it always almost seems like a bait and switch already, that it was 3 to 5 and now it's 8 to whatever. So just trying to get some clarity around when, where, and what.
Yeah, changing the zoning on a property doesn't change ownership or desire to develop, but it does change the development pattern or whatever is going to be used there. I wouldn't say if this property was ever rezoned to something else, it would not go back to agricultural. It would be some sort of urban style zoning classification, whether it was residential 2 or residential 3 or another business category based on where it's located at.
Would it ever go I-1?
Not at that, it would be against the vision concept maps for where industrial would be developed within the area of the city of Bluffton. So it would be outside of that growth idea. Most of that is to the west and south of town, with the north being focused more on that residential commercial growth pattern.
I just know for myself, there was properties that have asked for rezoning and considered spot zoning, in my opinion, which this would classify as spot zoning, because, like you said, back in town, South Farther, business is up against State Road 1. Then we have a gap with the residential. Excuse me. I'm not going to be a commissioner forever, and I'm sure these guys will be here longer than I will, but to set a precedent and allow something that could be, and again, you alluded 3 to 5, maybe 5 to 8, something happening in the future, and we make a decision now that opens it wide open, that we don't have any control. And I guess that's where I'm at with the rezoning option.
So I would just state that this is not spot zoning. Spot zoning is a concept where there's no realistic chance that this is how it's supposed to be used. So if you went 4 miles from the nearest town and said that area is going to be a business zoning district, there's no utilities out there, there's nothing out there, and said that is where you look at spot zoning.
So why you use 4 miles as an example?
Well, just to say that it's on its own. There's no other development pattern there that would show off that is the case. And in the state of Indiana, actually, spot zoning is not illegal to do.
I'm not saying it is.
But I'm just saying, in this case, being that it is in the proximity of the growth pattern of the city of Bluffton, within service area of the utilities pattern, is why urban style zoning makes sense in that location. So
It could actually be annexed in because it's adjacent.
it is an adjacent, yes, yeah, yep, correct. This property is adjacent to annexed property.
Across the
So,
street,
yeah,
on the
so
east
that
side.
is what we're looking at there. The board didn't feel that it was out of bounds because it is within the goal, which in the Vision 2035 plan, we talk about the existing commercial corridors continuing to grow, and that would be for Bluffton and Ossian would be along the State Road 1 corridor area, that we believe that commercial makes sense to develop in those spaces. The other competing use there would be residential, urban style residential, and the single to multifamily zoning classifications.
Would it be appropriate to have Parkview address any of those concerns now?
Yeah, I was just making
Okay. Nope. If you need anything from me, let me know.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Commissioners. Tom Trent with Parkview Hospital. I joined Parkview in March of this year, and previous to that, I was a land use attorney in Fort Wayne. So I feel more comfortable in this chair than I do behind the hospital walls. I want to say a couple of things. I'm hearing, I think, 2 different concerns. One concern is you're concerned about uses that may be incompatible with the area. That can be addressed very easily through a restrictive covenant that Parkview would volunteer. That has not been a topic of conversation. I don't think Mr. Lautzenizer thought that was necessary, but if the concern is you don't want strip centers or whatever it may be, that's something that we can fix very easily. If the concern is when are we going to break ground, that's the one area where I don't know that we can make a firm commitment on. Presently, Parkview has 7,500 square feet of space, if you will, in the community. Oddly enough, 5,000 of it is leased from Bluffton Regional Medical Center. So we're already here in the community, and we want to expand our footprint in this community. The only thing we cannot commit to is a new construction project that would cost, based upon our recent experiences, somewhere between $15 and $30 million. The need needs to be there for us to make that spend. But in terms of our commitment to Bluffton and our intent to grow within Bluffton and Wells County, we are here and we continue to pursue opportunities for growth. And as far as what would be built at that site, probably under no circumstances would it be a hospital. It would most likely be a medical office building of some variety. When we first came to the community several months ago and met with the mayor, we were talking about an ED urgent care product. And in fact, we met with the Jackson family to potentially put it on their land along Main Street. We determined that the expense of that type of a facility was not justified in that location, hence why we found the site that we're presently discussing here this evening. Inpatient hospital would not work at that location, and that's not anything that we've ever indicated an intent to do. Could I foresee us building in 3 to 5 years? The honest answer is yes. I just we cannot make that commitment because of the data, if you will, that we're seeing in terms of need for additional emergency care and urgent care. Bluffton Regional Medical Center has that corner on the market, and I don't believe that at this time we would be willing to dip our toe into that water. But a medical office would be the most likely result.
I've had a call with these guys Friday, Thursday, something like that.
Friday, yeah.
For an hour or something, so most of my questions I raised them. I don't know if they were addressed, but I raised them. But just to go over it, my concern was, again, I think a little bit, maybe it was misconception on my part, but not what I heard when I left, that it was 3 to 5 years away. And then I think me and Jack talked, and it was 8 to who knows when. So that was a big shocker to me. And then you talk about commitment. You can't make that commitment, but you want us to make that commitment 3 years in advance. You're saying it's 3 to 5 years at the most, but you want us to commit to that as B1 or B3 or whatever it is now, and roll the dice that we get something that enhances the community. And I think that's where I'm at. I can't speak for the others. Is if you want the ground rezoned, give us a plan and some commitment of what's going to go there.
The timing for us, we're under a purchase agreement, and we have a due diligence time frame under it, and zoning is one of our conditions in our purchase agreement. And if we don't have zoning and we don't know that we can use it for what we'd like to be able to use it for down the road, normally you don't close in a purchase if you're in that situation. So that's, that's what's driving, our time frame with the rezoning. And Wells County's development plan standards are a little different than other counties. You require a high level of engineering in the plans for your development plan. There are some counties that have sort of a primary development plan, which is a very simple site plan. And then you come back in later, and sometimes you can present that with your rezoning. And then you come back in later with a more involved secondary plan. But I think Wells County kind of wants that more detail up front too. So
I would dare to say, no, that's not true. You're asking for rezoning with nothing. We got a blank sheet of paper, and then you're saying rezone this, and you're telling me that we're a little stricter than others? Blank sheet of paper doesn't seem very strict.
No, I apologize. The development plan standards require more information to submit one with than what they do in other counties up front.
Mr. Commissioner, all of which can be your concerns, which I believe are controlling end use. That can all be done through a restrictive covenant. we can delay these proceedings and offer a covenant that would provide the commissioners with the comfort that they need to prevent uses that are incompatible with the area. That's a common tool within, the zoning world, and something, again, that I think we've been willing to do since day one.
Those aren't uncommon, like McDonald's has that place next to Family Farm that it had a covenant on it that you couldn't build another fast food restaurant within so many miles.
Yeah, things like fast foods, intense commercial, those are things that we can eliminate right away. That's not something that we're looking to do with the real estate, and, to the extent that the community viewed that as a negative, I mean, we wouldn't pursue such a use.
Well, the feedback, and I was honest with you on the phone, that really nothing from the time I met with Preston and Kevin until middle of last week. And then my phone blows up of, why are you bringing the highest cost healthcare group in the state here? Why isn't there a plan here? This is a typical, we actually heard this from other commissioners and mayors, that this is just a stall tactic by Parkview, that they lock up ground to get people to not want to come here to develop, whether it's IU or Lutheran or whoever it may be. So all those things, and I'm not saying that they're valid or not, but those are all things, questions that I'm getting phone calls about. And then there is no site plan, which I'll leave that up to Mike and those guys. I develop, every time I go in front of the APC, I have a site plan of here's what we're gonna do, here's what we're proposing, retention, all that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, a meeting with Mr. Schultz and Mr. Wright.
What's that?
And I had a conversation with Jack back in the day.
Yes,
We started because I was not able to be here present for the rezoning time frame. And what you just suggested was never mentioned as an option. So,
It is something that I believe we've talked to
I-
Mr. Lautzenheiser about.
right, but it wasn't included in the ordinance that you're bringing up this evening, so.
What I was, I did bring it up, and it was our understanding that it's not something that Wells County normally does. So that's why we didn't present one to the Plan Commission. But as Tom said, we're open to restricting some of the uses if that would be helpful.
One other question before we change a little bit, but ambulance service, can you tell me where that would fit in this plan?
The question was what?
How will ambulance service with your facility be different than what we currently have?
I don't think our facility would have an emergency department, so there would be no ambulance service.
You would have no ambulance service
No, not at this particular site.
at this site?
Medical office building is, you'd be providing primary care and specialty care.
Right, I just need that clarified, thank you.
Yeah. And we have talked to the county about partnering on EMS services in general, and I don't know where those conversations stand, but that's something we continue to be interested in.
Okay.
Did any insight or advice or?
Well, I haven't been consulted on this until just now, so no, I haven't had an opportunity to review it, and any sort of insight as to the legalities of what the commissioner's review of the unanimous decision of the APC to approve this ordinance, I think Mr. Lautzenheiser would probably be able to address that better. And perhaps if there were concerns about the lack of a site plan, whether that matters in regard to this particular ordinance or not. But I would suggest that based upon experience, we don't have a lot of these matters come before us as commission.
All right, let's give Mike a few minutes here and let's see if we get some clarification. Musical chairs for you, Mike.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah. So in regards to a site plan as part of a rezoning petition, so historically, the Wells County Plan Commission, when making decisions, even if somebody did provide a site plan, has to kind of set that aside and see whether or not all the potential zoning uses make sense at that location. So that is something that our board works diligently on. Even if somebody says, well, this is what we're going to do here, a very narrowly focused project, we have to look and say, okay, what's that going to be used for now? What parts of that property might be used for in the future? And then 50 years from now, what is that property still potentially going to be used for? So in that case, that's what we're looking at when we make a recommendation to you guys or to any of the participating jurisdictions, is that we're not just looking at something that is being presented for the first use or the first partial use of a property, but what the entirety would be used for. So, and again, that is reflected in the unanimous do pass recommendation that all general business uses make sense in that location based on its location.
No matter what it is.
Yeah. So here recently, there's been 2 times that the concept has been brought up that, well, we want to see more information. The Omco Steel rezoning that went to the city of Bluffton, that was brought up that, you know, there wasn't really a concept. It was mostly just a rezoning, you know, with future projects maybe in mind, but nothing drawn up yet. That rezoning went through with some tweaking because it met the requirements, that the end goal of the comprehensive plan was met in the rezoning concept. So they didn't come back with a full set of plans. They had some real quick sketches to give a concept of what it might look like, but they only showed that for a very small portion of the property. And so in the same thing, our decisions are on a grander timeline than what a unique individual development would be.
So it's really not look at it as whose name's on it, it's look at it as, is that the right use or not?
Is that the right place for that type of use? So if this was a zoning application for a heavy industrial user on the northwest side of Bluffton, it would not have got a unanimous do pass recommendation because it wouldn't fit the growth pattern for that area. But if it was one of the uses that made sense in that, then you would see that favorable recommendation coming from the Planning Commission. And I understand, and the Planning Commission Board as well understands the value of knowing maybe what's first to happen on, or what is being proposed, but that long-term view is also equally important to it.
So the petition is to look at the use, maybe not so much the intended occupant of the land, just is it B1, right? B1 or B3?
B3, general business. That is the business zoning that allows for the most flexibility in business, commercial type uses.
And that can be, is there, I mean, can you list out, B3 is obviously more uses than B1, B2, and?
Yes, correct. So B1 is our central business district. That's your downtowns. B2 is a service zoning district. To be honest, it's not used as much as maybe when it was first developed. And then B3 is the more traditional commercial areas in a town. So what you would expect to see on Main Street in the north side of Bluffton, that is B3. And the same thing from the south side of Bluffton. When you're going through, there's B3 area and then industrial off to the side of it. So you see a little bit of what you would expect to see in those types of uses.
I think we gotta realize that once this is, or if it ever gets built, would be annexed into the city, they'd probably wanna annex it.
That would be a priority as far as, one, to bring utilities out to the site. They're nearby, but they would, to extend them there, the property become annexed. The only thing, I don't believe it's within the city's electric service area, so that would be separate, but.
But that would make it consistent again with the current plan and the development plan.
That is correct.
See, by bringing in and having that ultimately be annexed by the city.
Yes, yeah, that as urban style development should be in an area where it can be served by utilities and potentially brought into the corporate limits.
Regardless of the name, I guess we got the sneak peek behind the curtain that it's Parkview, but the question is, would we make this B3 regardless of who went in there? And then, doesn't mean that we can't address the other stuff of whether it's 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road.
Yeah.
Those are still questions I have of coming to the community so early with such a mixed message. I don't think it's a good start, but those are questions we can answer at a different time, so. Really, the thing we're voting on tonight is, will we allow this to be B3 per the 2035 plan? Or-
Yeah, so as commissioners, you have the ability to adopt the recommendation as presented. You also have the opportunity to do the opposite of that. As the Plan Commission has brought as strong of a recommendation as they possibly could, that your representatives and the other representatives on the Plan Commission stated that this met the criteria for rezoning.
Ted, any ramifications, say we decided not to do this, any ramifications if we go against the APC?
Obviously, anybody who has been, had an administrative decision can always appeal that decision, have it reviewed to make sure that it meets the standard. I'm certainly not suggesting that the applicant in this case would, but any applicant may appeal that and then take it up, and then it would determine what the standard is. And that's what you'd have to decide here as to whether or not that's an appropriate way to move forward, to go and do something in contradiction of the, I'm going to use the term Mike's used, the unanimous decision of the APC.
So do we really have three choices here? One, approve, and then based off the APC. Two, reject, go against the APC, or the third one that Parkview threw up is have you appear at the next one with some, I don't remember the term you used, restricted covenants of what could happen on there, or would we even consider, I mean, because that's going to limit you if there's restricted covenants, whoever comes in before, if they don't build, would have covenants that they've got to.
Yeah, so the tool in that, so Indiana law allows for a commitment, a written and recorded commitment to be part of a rezoning petition, in that you can add pieces to that, like restricting types of uses or whatever. The question really would be is do we want to get into that business? Because we have not historically used that tool. As was said, is that if it's in the zoning classification for that area, then it meets those requirements. If we're looking at doing something different than that, then it would almost bring in a question of, okay, is that zoning district as a whole correct? Do we need to look at an ordinance amendment to change the master list of uses that are in that B3 classification? Does it need to be split up into two districts and split some things out of it? Those would be things that could also be talked about in the future as well, that maybe all the things in B3 don't belong in B3, they belong in something else. Or you truly believe that the list of permitted uses in that zoning district meet that requirement.
So B3, you're saying, is only available for this clinic zoning, or?
No, there are multiple zoning, there's other zoning.
Would work, or B1? I mean, not to say I'm
So
recommending.
the reasoning for B3 is because that is what the north side of Bluffton is zoned. B1 would not make any sense there because it is not the central business district for our community. So that is not one that would be considered, even though that would allow as a permitted use the type of facility they're talking about, as that is where the other facility is located. B2, again, I don't think it really fits that area either. It is more of a little narrower focus on, again, that service type business. But would be a potential when you're looking at the Vision 2035 plan, that all urban-style business uses make sense in that location. So that would be B1, 2, and 3. Just location-wise, B3 is the consistent north side frontage zoning classification.
Did I understand that that's the way the opposite side of that road is zoned through
No.
the city?
On the east side, they thought, no, today it is zoned residential. It's zoned urban residential. What we looked at Plan Commission level is that the I-Town Church, which is the nearest neighbor across the street, a church is allowed in all zoning districts. But at some point in time, it would make sense to potentially go through and zone all churches to B3 because that's the style of development that best looks like what they developed there. So that was brought into that. Otherwise, it's the extension of what is already on the north side.
It flops, right? You got Lowe's and some commercial side on the east side, and then it flops over and it's
Yeah.
residential. Then, but if you go on the other side of the road, it's some residential, and now we're talking about business, and then on the other side,
Yeah.
it goes back to residential.
So the B3 zoning is there at, there's the bank and the little office building there in front of the Woodlands housing subdivision. This carries over that same zoning classification that those properties are zoned as.
Right across the street is North Oaks, which is residential all the way down to the first house by 350 or
Correct, yes.
250.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would start basically right there at that last house and then go B3, going
Yeah,
north.
that would be a viewpoint, that frontage areas there would be preferred for an urban style zoning, whether it's residential or business.
And on the east side is residential.
The closest B2 is the dental shop, the 2 dental offices.
Yeah, the Baker Place,
Baker Place.
yeah.
I think if we want growth and opportunity, we're gonna be willing to do the things to perpetuate that. I would be inclined to accept the recommendation. Does me no good to throw that out there if we don't have interest on either side of me. I think, could we do that with the caveat of the restrictive covenant if that would make everybody else comfortable?
I think that you would have to have that in play, like written and prepared to make your motion with that if you were going to use that form. That would be something that would be made in your acceptance. Again, that is not what the Plan Commission brought in front of you, a
Right.
concept of
I
that.
got you.
But yes,
But it is what the petitioner threw out.
correct, I don't disagree with that.
From a procedural standpoint, if there were going to be an amendment, would that have to go back to you, or can the commissioners do that here based upon your understanding of our?
I don't believe that it would have to go back to us.
Okay. But I appreciate your comments that we would want to have that in writing before we have some sort of motion from the commissioners.
And understanding that such a commitment could be amended through the rezoning process in a future situation. Is the general caveat is whether or not you want those restrictions to be out there. And do you want to start using that ideal for things moving forward? Do we want to be that narrowly focused? I say some communities do that all the time. Really focus down that, well, this property will only use for these couple things, and this property would be, so you're almost creating like sub-zoning districts at that point, where
Pretty granular.
where you're like really focusing on a unique development, and then if something doesn't work out, you almost have to go back and undo that stuff.
But any landowner could do that. So like McDonald's, we owned the property that was next to
Yeah.
McDonald's, and they had owned it originally, and there was a restriction on there that no fast food could go.
Yeah, so that would be in the different arena. That would be in a private covenant between landowners.
So we could limit it to the APC that we do or we don't want to do that, but a private landowner could come in. and say,
They could do something themselves, and those are under jurisdiction of another set of Indiana law that those would live under. So those have been used historically in the past, even before zoning. People put land restrictions on properties when they sold usually to outlaw uses that were
competitors.
Not competitors, but actually objectionable uses. The old lists would, you like listen to clubs and bowling alleys and different types of establishments that people didn't want to see on their property long-term. Many things have changed from the dates when a lot of those early on things have been done. Zoning has one of those things that has come into play since then that answers some of those questions.
Well, that being said, I would like to make a motion to accept the APC's recommendation of due pass for the board to consider.
Any additional conversation? What do you?
I'd like to see it continued with the caveat, the recommendations.
Covenant?
Covenant.
So with no second, the motion dies.
What's that?
I said with no second, the motion will die.
Yeah, I'm inclined to go with the covenant also, since the petitioner brought the covenant up. I don't want to hold it back. It's in our master plan to be B3. But I think there's a question of what's going to go there and when. That might not get answered in the covenant, but it would limit, would put some restrictions about what that could be, so. I would side with Mr. Gerber. I'd like to see something in writing. We don't need a motion, we just need to see what's proposed, and we could approve it as regular B3 next meeting, or at least see what our choices are, so.
So if I'm understanding, I don't know if Parkview wanted to comment on this or not. The motion from Commissioner Vanover does not currently have a second. The motion from Commissioner Gerber would be to continue the issue for another meeting to allow the APC, perhaps Wells County in general, and Parkview to continue to discuss the potential for what the restrictive covenant, and then to bring that back at another time, presumably the next meeting for consideration.
If I'm understanding Michael correctly, then they don't need to do anything else with you. They just need to bring it here for our consideration, correct?
Correct. I guess that would, the grander question with that is to who do you want to work with Parkview to come up with that commitment document to bring back? Obviously, I think we're going to need some clarification from Blake and Jeff in regards to what items you didn't want to see on that list.
And
So, that would be looking at our permitted use table and saying, not these four things. What don't you want on that list?
Commissioner Gerber, do you want to take that, be the point of contact to have that review? And then bring it back on the first? Is it the first? I think our next meeting's December
I would
1st.
like, I could do that, but I would like to run it by Ted and have Ted share that with you two.
That's fine.
So you're.
Run it through that process.
Just want to do it legally,
Yeah.
ethically, so, sure.
That need to be a motion, Ted, or,
Well, I think that's the motion that's currently on the table to, I'm going to use the term, continue this until the December 1st meeting. I don't believe that that motion's been seconded. And again, I don't know if Parkview wants to comment on that, or if
This is a perfectly acceptable resolution. Thank you for the robust dialogue. We appreciate it.
all right, so I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments on that topic? All right, monthly reports.
In your pile, the next is rescue vehicles.
All right, rescue vehicles. There was some discussion, I don't know if it was last meeting or the meeting before, about, if you remember in the past, we bought a rescue vehicle for Bluffton, Ossian, and Liberty Center. I think with everything going on, talking about maybe going to a district, maybe going to a territory that we suspend. My recommendation is that we suspend buying any more vehicles until we determine where we're going.
We'll leave the bonds where they are in place with current, but going forward, we're withdrawing any potential.
Everything's already in place. Is there anything new can be presented to the board, but it's not the
I'll make that
continuous
motion.
everything?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Um, 2026 employee health contributions. It just states on here what the deductibles are, what the reimbursements are from Moss County, and the monthly contributions for the employees. For a single employee, it's $51 a month, employee children, $155, employee spouse, $200, family, $309. If you want to keep things the same, we can. You can change whatever you want to change.
does this include any statutory increase in the HSA
Yeah,
levels
it
due to the high deductible?
It goes to 34 and 6.
Okay.
400 is the new number next year.
I'll tell you, from being a business owner, it's a very lucrative health plan. My employees, and we have great health care, pay about $150 a week, pay period to get it, and this is $309, so.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept these limits.
I'll second it. I just would like to know that this has been in place for multiple years. I think it should be reconsidered for next year, for 27.
I'm fine with that.
But I would second your motion to.
All right, so we got a motion
use
and a
the
second.
existing
All in
table.
favor?
Aye.
3-0.
You said 27?
For sure, yeah.
Okay.
For 27.
Gotcha.
AEP easement acquisition.
We've had some attorney-client discussions on that, and we'll just continue to monitor this and bring it up until, or we'll bring it when there's a final easement agreement approved.
Then the last one is mine. Again, just going off regular business standards. As many people as we have driving county vehicles, I know it goes through, to get your CDL, there's a drug screen, but I just think that's something that we've never had, but we ought to look at implementing that. Everybody that works, is employed, should be able to pass the drug screen for the county is my suggestion. So I'd like to get something, at least get the dialogue
Announce
going.
it, or is it going to be just random? What's
Well-
your-
Just ran,
just
well, I'll leave that up to Ted.
There are generally three types of drug screening that are allowed for employers. There's a general drug and alcohol screen that any employer, if they have a written policy, can have for new employees. You can also extend that to people coming back from an extended sick, FMLA, or disability leave for their return to duty or return to fitness duty test. There is also a test that's appropriate after an incident that causes damage to property of the county or causes personal injury. Those are subject to OSHA and IOSHA guidelines as well, but that's the second test. It's after an incident. A random screen is required for certain positions that are safety sensitive. Those would include public transit. Those would include anybody dealing with a CDL where you have people and they're required to do a random test. That has to be actually random. You normally have to contract with an outside vendor who then selects those numbers, and you would select a period of time, a quarterly, where a certain percentage, and I believe the current DOT percentage is 17% of your employees. There's also a reasonable suspicion test that if a supervisor who is appropriately trained, that supervisor can identify whether or not an employee is showing signs of being impaired during the workplace. So there are a number of different options available, and so the question would be, what type of policy would you want to implement? I don't recall off the top of my head whether we have a new higher drug or alcohol screening test. Any of our employees who are driving a CDL mandated vehicle would, by virtue of their CDL position, go through an annual physical, which would include such an appropriate test based upon the medical. And so really the question would be, would you want to incur some additional test, and what would your policy be? But we could look into those and discuss those as well.
Yeah, that's my suggestion, is that we at least open that up and start looking at it and take some suggestions of what maybe surrounding counties have.
There have been a number of suggestions recently brought to my attention from different offices about potential modifications to the handbook. That's great. I'm happy to take those calls, and I'm happy to implement policies as they come to me. I wonder if we are in a position, I don't know the last time, it's been since I have, or before I joined as the county attorney. I wonder if it's time to put together some sort of committee to start collecting ideas. Right now, we have a policy where we're talking about uniforms, and so we're trying to get those done between the highway department and the sheriff, who may not have corresponding ideals. We've had some recent concerns about expenses and how often we get those done and how often those are submitted. We now have a question, a very reasonable question. We want our public to be safe, and we certainly don't want to employ people who are impaired, but now we have that issue. I might suggest that it's time to have a comprehensive review of our handbook and our policies to make sure that we're implementing an overall change, so we don't have to bring those and amend the policy in the handbook. Maybe we just take a look at that and do it. I would suggest that getting a committee put together, we probably wouldn't have anything done by January 1 of 2026. Usually that's when you'd like to do that, either at the beginning of the year or to pick a date in the quarter to say, hey, we're going to have it done by April 1, July 1, September 1, something like that. And that way you have time to announce it and direct it to the employees who, if some employees need to change their behavior, they have time to alter that behavior and prepare. But based upon the number of different questions, all very good, all valid concerns, including this one, I'd suggest maybe it's time to take a look at the policy and the handbook in general to say, hey, what do we need to change? Are our renewals for insurance, are they compatible with what we're saying in the handbook? Just to have that redone.
We could put in there that here's the committee, and we do want a drug screening policy, but
yeah.
You figure out how it is.
Well, and that would be one of the things that the committee would say. You know, are we in the right position to have a reasonable suspicion as opposed to simply a post-incident testing, things along those lines.
I don't mind volunteering to put a handbook committee, get some names and present them next meeting.
Did you recall the last time we did the handbook review? I mean, we. Is that when it was? Okay.
Yeah, and I don't have any problems from an employment standpoint with the current handbook, but if we're talking about suggestions on changes, maybe it's time to do that.
Sure.
If you guys are all right, I'll put together a list between now and next meeting of who would be on that list.
I think it's needed. Do we want to wait and have that mileage reimbursement policy discussion during that time also, you think?
I would certainly think that the commissioners could indicate their position, which I think is consistent with county council, that if employees are seeking reimbursement, even if it's not for a travel expense related to education, that employee should be submitting those on a monthly basis. That's just good policy and principle, as well as ease of administration by the auditor in her office. So I would think.
Easy as making a motion that all those expenses need to be submitted within 30 days or they won't be eligible for reimbursement?
Yep, and then we can look to determine whether or not that has to be a change in the handbook. I don't believe it's in the handbook, which is why it's a question right now.
I'll go ahead and make that motion then.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. Turn them in monthly. All right, anything else? Anything from the quorum? Holly? Lisa? Commissioners?
No, sir.
Ted? All right, take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.